Jason.
And you're watching The Self-Made Men on YouTube.
So we have a lot of questions in our Tumblr inbox and on email since it's been a long time since we did a Q&A video. So we have a ton, so strap in and we'll answer them.
All right, our first question, this is her first video, so we're not going to edit these. We told her we were going to, but we're not going to. She's just going to fix her hair all day. Our first question is, what's a way to come out to your mother? How did you come out to your mother, Rowan?
I was crying over a costume piece in front of her closet, and she thought that maybe it didn't have to do with the costume piece. So she took me downstairs to the couch in the living room, and I cried at her for an hour, and then I said, "Mom, I think I'm a boy." So that was one way that it could happen for you as well.
My mom found a bunch of Christmas cards that I had sent to my girlfriends from various states while I was online, and she freaked out and went on, Google and Googled "my daughter wants to be my son" and came up with the word transsexual and transgender, and she told me that I was trans. But some other ways that you could do it are possibly write a letter. A leather.
Yeah, you said leather.
Write that leather.
Write a leather. Write a letter, or I think that after my mom confronted me, there was a lot of crying. So crying is a way to come out to your mother.
I think the thing to remember is that there's never going to be like a right time to do it. So to not get hung up on like, oh, she's upset today, it's not a good time, or oh, she's in a good mood, it's not a good time. It's never going to be like a good time, really. So finding a good time when I just said there's no good time. Finding a time when you know that she's not in a rush, maybe when you know that you can sit down and really explain what is going on with you to her is really going to help.
Yeah, and definitely, like we've said before and other things, make it a positive thing. Say that, this is something that's going to make you happy. It's something that you've been thinking about a long time. If you act ashamed of what you're going through, you're giving other people the right to follow suit and kind of act ashamed to you and just be shameful of you, and this shouldn't be the case. The next question is, how much have you gotten bullied or made fun of? I remember when I got my hair cut for the first time. I cut like all my hair off, and this kid in my gym class, just like every time we switched teams because we were playing like softball or kickball or something like that, he would like run by me and be like, "You got a busted haircut," and that was it. It was the time that popped into my head when I read that question. So,
let's see. A lot of the bullying that I faced when I was younger was really for, I guess, my gender expression instead of my gender identity. I wasn't out when I was 6. But I got my hair cut, and I wore boy clothes, and at that age, the only thing that made the obvious difference between boys and girls was your haircut and what clothes you were wearing. So I got a lot of flack for that, especially when I needed to go to the bathroom and stuff like that, all through elementary and middle school. I had my head slammed into a locker around early high school by someone, but he called me a fag and walked away a couple times, so I don't think he was really coming at me for that, because he was wrong. But I really haven't experienced that much since coming out and being in college. I've heard people talking about trans people in really derogatory and demeaning ways, but it's never been directly at me. I think people might be a little afraid to do that, to voice because they know that they're wrong and they know that they're bigoted about it. So they don't want to say it to your face, but those have been my experiences.
I've actually found that a lot of times people won't be mean to me, but they'll be mean to my allies and my family or my girlfriend. So have you ever experienced like any... Oh, I'm sorry, did I put you on the spot?
No.
Have you ever experienced any bullying about me through you?
A time that immediately came to mind was that when I told my cousin that my boyfriend was trans, he immediately thought I was a lesbian, and so I had to explain that to him, that just because my boyfriend has something different in his pants than what you would think, that, I'm not attracted to boys, that he's not a boy, that I'm gay. So I guess that was kind of hard, and indirect form of bullying towards Jason and myself as well.
Yep. a lot of the times people ask questions that they would never ask me or Rowan right to our face, like, do you have a penis? Or are you you're not really a boy or anything like that? But they'll be aimed at our allies, so it'll be like, well, your friend's not a really boy or anything like that, because they feel like, obviously they just wouldn't say that to us, so they take it out on the people that are like safe to pick on.
Yeah. My best friend Marin has gotten absolutely every question under the sun about me, but no one will ask me. I was like, oh, no one cares, no one has any questions for me, and Marin's like, people have been talking to me for 2 years, they just don't want to talk to you about it, so, yeah.
The next question is how do you cope with waiting for T and surgery? I guess like when you're in that pre-transitional stage, it can be really hard to look forward and the it gets better and it'll come soon and stuff like that. It doesn't really appease you sometimes. I guess what I used to do is, like, it might be triggering for you, so obviously whatever you think, but I used to like just Google like guy fashion and things that I would want to be when I like grew up or when I was transitioning, or the car that I wanted to drive. Like I was just envisioning Jason in the future and kind of created him like an alter ego that I was gonna like grow into. So it's good to get to those goals. Another thing is to just look around and figure out what the steps are that you have to actually take to get on T and to get surgery and stuff like that. So you're actually headed in that direction and you don't feel like you're at a stalemate.
Absolutely. And then if you're kind of in the process of like you're getting there, but you just have to wait a little while, or there's like, you're just waiting for something to be covered for surgery, or you're just waiting for your T to come in or something like that, and it's your first time, you have a couple months of a wait or something, finding some sort of creative outlet, I found has been really helpful for me, as well as looking ahead to like, what are you going to do, like who do you want to become, these sorts of things, finding like if you're really interested in music or photography or film or writing or something like that, having some sort of creative outlet, letting your feelings and emotions out in kind of a healthy way, while also creating something is really helpful because it takes your mind off of whatever you're really worried about or whatever's stressing you. So that's also some way that you can use to cope. So the next question we have came in specifically for Alexa. So Alexa, the statistics aren't good on relationships for trans people and their partners. They say that the majority of relationships don't last through transition. You and Jason have defied the odds. Congratulations. As a single trans man who is terrified of dragging someone through the mud and so has shied away from relationships at all, I would like to get your perspective on the hardships, trials, and tribulations you had to go through as a partner of a trans person.
So that's a really good question, and I had to think about it a lot, because there's been a lot. And it's nothing against Jason, it's just the nature of...
I told her to be totally honest.
We've made it this far. So I guess I kind of had an advantage because Jason was already on testosterone when we met, and he had already had top surgery. So it kind of seemed like I had missed the whole beginning phases of his transition. And although I think it makes it easier for us in some ways, so that I didn't have to like deal with all the mood swings and things that come with when like you're first on testosterone, or when he was after surgery and had to get sponge bathed. I didn't have to do that. I also think it's kind of like a part of his life that I missed out on, and I kind of missed seeing him become who he is now. So I guess that's kind of, the win-lose situation there. So I guess some of the hardships, though, have been, like, even though the mood swings aren't as intense as he's told me they were when he first started testosterone, they're still pretty bad. It's been 4 years on T, and they're still happening.
Most of the hanger.
It's a lot of times because he hasn't eaten, and I just gotta give him a cookie or something, and then he's better. So that happened earlier today. It's just kind of knowing if he gets mad at me for something, if it's really my fault, or if it's just because he hasn't taken his shot in 2 weeks. It's kind of like you have to really trust your partner, and like keep an open line of communication, because those are things that I need to talk to him about. Like, you know, when you said this, like, was it really something that I did, or can you honestly tell me that, you know, you were just overreacting? So that's something you have to be able to talk about, and that clears up a lot of the problems that we've personally run into together. Okay, so another tough part of it was when Jason and I first met. He basically gave me like the Trans 101 info session in like 3 hours of him just telling me everything. Like, he told me answers to questions that I didn't know I had. So I was basically just like put in the T community really quickly, like educated like super fast, all in one day. And it was very overwhelming. So that was like a hardship in itself, was kind of like learning all of this and thinking like, wow, I might like be attracted to him, and I might actually have to like deal with some of these things, like the possibility that we won't be able to have kids. Like things like that were kind of tough on me. I don't know, it made it harder to admit to myself that I had feelings for him.
I think you were with a cisgender boy at the time.
Yes, I was.
And that was definitely something to consider. Like, you were on an easy path with a cisgender boy, and then here this trans man things that you had to consider when switching.
It was a lot, all at once. I'm switching.
Switching boats. Just, she had one foot on each restroom.
Oh boy. Okay. So my mom was a little confused because she was like, well, how are you supposed to date him? He's not a real boy. Yeah, so I was a little frustrated with that. And I thought that maybe that would be the beginning of a really hard time with my mom accepting this. But it actually turned out to be the exact opposite. She really was kind of in the same boat as me. Like, she is very like open-minded and a great person, and just didn't have the education about trans stuff like I didn't. So once she got her education and everything is fine now. Both my parents love Jason. Her education from the trans school, I don't know. No, both my parents like really love Jason, and you know, we've sat down and we've talked about it, and like they just want to make sure that I'm happy, and that's all they care about. So you know, it was really hard at first, but it ended up being perfectly fine. So I guess I'm lucky in that sense. What else? Am I good?
Yeah.
Can I talk? I'm done talking.
Okay.
Forever?
I'm done.
Can we done forever?
No.
I keep getting closer and closer to the camera. I don't know.
That's okay.
At the end of the video, Alexa's gonna be like,
Hi.
down at the bottom too.
And the bottom.
All right. The next question. The good news. My partner has been saving money, and for my birthday, they told me they had enough to get me top surgery. The bad news is, my job. I work with a small privately owned company. I do lots of lifting, so I have to tell them that I'm having surgery in order to take off enough time. I'm not out, and for fear of being fired. I'm not out for fear of being fired, so I can't tell the truth, and I can't just say I'm having surgery because everyone's nosy and gossipy. Any suggestions on what kind of surgery I should tell them that I need?
Back surgery? I don't know. Is that a thing?
It's a
that
thing.
you
That's
can
a
do?
surgery.
Because you wouldn't be able to lift if your back was messed up.
You're donating one of your kidneys.
There you go. Have a herniated disc. You were born with 3 hearts and you need 2 of them taken out. That happens.
It does.
It does.
Got your. That wouldn't be long enough. Your thing. Yeah. Your thing taken
Your
out.
thing taken out. So many
You knew.
things.
You knew.
I knew. They didn't know.
Castration. You would not be able to
No.
lift. Gastrointestinal bypass surgery.
There you go.
Okay, I'm moving on.
If anyone has any suggestions, please leave them in the comments so we can help this wonderful individual keep their job. Alright, here's a question. I have concerns about my voice post-T. The article, Testosterone in the Trans Male Singing Voice, and the study on which it...
Start over.
Thank you, Alexa. I've never been in a video before.
Just flip me off.
Editing.
Editing, that's gonna stay in the video.
It-
Literally,
a
the
lot
end,
of
of
this-
the end of the video is gonna be you flipping me off and me going. That's the whole video because it always ends with me doing something embarrassing.
Good.
Always,
I hope so.
me something embarrassing.
I'd
Okay.
rather be you than me.
You can go home then.
I have homework.
So do I.
I
Your
don't.
homework
It's a
is
school
tomorrow.
night. I know.
Nope,
it's
not me.
tomorrow.
Stop talking to the camera. We're not putting this
Nope,
in there.
not me.
I'm Jason.
Oh,
I'll
God.
go to school right now.
Jason uses his camera as like a mirror.
I do.
Oh,
I've
he's
been looking at
literally
myself.
smiling at himself. He's doing a Disney Prince smile. He's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
I'm Flynn Rider.
It's actually, it's like the DreamWorks smile where you just smile with half of your face. You're like,
Okay. Can I read this question
Can't
again?
do it.
Okay. Alright. I have concerns about my voice post-T. The article Testosterone in the Trans Male Singing Voice and the study in which it's based on suggests that a low starting dose and a slow increase can widen post-T vocal range, reduce ossification, etc. Do you have any experience first, second, third hand on slow T? I'm wondering how long it takes for other virilizing effects to kick in, also a good word, on the lower dose, and anything else you can tell me from how it differs from normal. So I'm taking this question because I'm the only one who started with a low dose. I don't know about Alexa, she hasn't really
I
told
have
us
a
about
very,
it.
very low dose.
She has her naturally occurring dose, so whatever. I started out with a very low dose. I was doing about 0.3 milliliters every 3 weeks, which is really not a lot at all, because I was also really concerned about my singing voice. I did musicals and choir all through high school, and I didn't want to not be able to sing again after I started testosterone. It was something I really thought about before I went on hormones. Actually, it was one of the reasons that I knew that this was what I needed to do, is because I was willing to sacrifice my singing voice in order to do what I needed to do to transition. But with slow T, it's just slow. A lot of the effects that you think you're going to see a lot faster happen months after most people's. My face didn't start changing shape for quite a few months. I didn't get any facial hair for 3 to 4 months, which is like almost really rare because most guys get it pretty quickly. My voice stayed pretty much where it was for quite a while. It didn't drop until like last spring when I upped my dose, actually. So as I kept it on slow for about 5 months, and like my voice didn't change at all. It was pretty low to begin with. I sang alto too in high school, and so it didn't change until I upped my dose, and then it dropped. But I was able to. It's one of those things. It's if you keep singing through your dosage, whether or not you start out slow and ratchet it up later. If you keep singing and you keep doing vocal exercises and practicing, your range will improve. I had little to no range this past summer because that was like the height of my voice cracking and changing, and it really is like experiencing male puberty. You just have to imagine yourself like every 14-year-old boy you might have gone to high school with. They just sound ridiculous when they try and sing for like a year or two. You're like, and nothing sounds good at all. But it settled eventually. I didn't have to relearn how to sing. It still comes naturally the same way because I was practicing and doing exercises all throughout it. So if you can just, keep doing what you're doing, start out slow perhaps, and increase later. It's dropped now. I'm a bass, which was expected because I was an alto too before. But singing has remained the same pretty much for me. I just sound much, much lower.
So the next question is, are there any good trans-friendly magazines you can recommend?
I wanted to do a weird potential spoiler alert that the calendar that we put out this year has generated a lot of buzz about where can I get the magazine that is in that calendar. And so there's a small idea that in the next year or two we may or may not have our own magazine for trans guys, whether it's quarterly or biannually or ambitiously every month. Right now, though, the two that I can think of off the top of my head is obviously the OP, which is Original Plumbing, and the guys from Australia that write Dude Magazine. Did you know any others?
No, those are the two that I'm aware of.
Yes. All right, so the next question is, would pumping have any effect on a guy who's not on T? I think that the rumor has it that you would have to pump any guy, any person, any whatever, would have to pump at least 2 times a day for a year to see any significant permanent changes. The deal with pumping is that for short periods of time it makes the tissue swell, and therefore after pumping's over it looks larger than it actually is. To have that become permanent, it would take a large amount of pumping over an extended period of time. Also, if you are pumping, it is recommended that you take it slow. Listen to your body. If it's painful, stop. Anything like that. Like with anything. If you are interested in pumping, we have a couple like smaller pumps that are used for cisgender male, just the heads, and so they're about this real size. So you wouldn't have like one like this big going with, you know. So on the new 18 plus site.
Our next question says, what kind of packaging do the STPs and Packers come in? In parentheses, if it comes in the mail and my mom sees anything translated, she will flip out. Luckily, we got you covered on that. We have thought ahead to everyone who is possibly not out or trying to stay stealth or something. So the packaging is really neutral and red, and it's just a box. And it says it's coming from the depot.
And this is only for STPs, boxers with the Packers, and the Mr. Olympia Packers, and the Mr. Venus. So those all come from a certain site that comes from the shipping department. Or, I'm sorry, the depot. Anything that comes from the 18 plus site comes from the shipping department. Anything that comes from our site comes from the Self-Made Men. But if you shoot us an email right after you make a purchase, we will send it from Jason Robert Ballard instead of the Self-Made Men. So it's completely discreet.
Hello there. That's so nice.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to read it.
No, I was just like, wow, that's huge.
No, go ahead and read
Wow,
it.
it's
That's
huge.
because it was fan mail and not
Yeah.
a
See that?
mask. But yeah.
It's fan mail.
Go ahead.
Yeah, come on.
You could read it.
That was great. That was hello
You had a
there.
good hello there.
Okay.
Because we were both sitting there like,
You were just staring at it. I was like, that's what it says. I like the beginning. Okay. Hello there. That wasn't as good. I gotta try that again.
I'm putting
my
this
hello
on
there
video.
wasn't as good.
My hello there wasn't good. Hello there. I see on your website you have some great resources, but you do not have a link to the Tyron?
Start over. if you
Tyron.
want.
Yeah, I will.
Tyron? Is that what?
I never looked
No,
into
that's
it.
Tyron. Tyron? Because Tyron has an E at the end.
Right.
Tyron? Tyron? I've never heard of it. Anyway,
Let's try it again.
Hello there. I see on your website you have some great resources, but you do not have a link to the Tyron Prosthetic. Have you ever looked into it, or do you not have enough info to have it on your site?
I'm just say this wrong. I keep calling it the Tyrone, but the Tyron. I've never heard it said out loud. If you have a phonetics, go ahead and send that to me. If I'm thinking of the correct prosthetic, this is the German-based one that you basically have. Okay, when I looked into it, when I first started looking into prosthetics, this is the $1,600 Packer.
Oh.
It's awesome.
The Rolls Royce.
It's super awesome because it is a pack and play, which you pump up the balls and two tubes inflate and make it so that you can literally pack and play.
It's like seamless.
Mm-hmm. It comes
That's why
with,
it costs so much.
Yeah, it comes with the area above where you medically glue it to your body, so there's no harnesses, and there's this little like nub that comes out when it gets hard, and then a release valve so that it can go soft again. When I was looking into it, the only review that I could possibly find that was not on the site, because you have to be careful of that. If it's on the site, it's probably a good review because they want you to buy it. If you look other places, you're going to try to find a review that is not basically a commercial review. You want to find someone that has it and looked into it. Someone said that it was extremely large, even when it was soft. And so the fact that it was $1,600 and it had a couple of bad reviews of, it kind of falls apart after a while. The taped area doesn't end up looking natural. It's hard to pee through. There's actually, to keep the balls on, there's a string that goes between your butt crack and a medical snap that you glue to the back of your butt, and you snap it so that the balls stay forward like this. So there's a lot of things that I don't know if I think that was the phase 3 that came out, the phase 2 maybe, I don't know, the recent one. I know that the people that made it, the last time I looked, had stopped making them so that they could come out with the next model, which apparently was supposed to have an STP in it. But the fact that it takes 6 months to put it together for you, and it was $1,600. We just haven't mentioned it at all anywhere. We've stuck with everything else.
Our next question says, I have my first psychologist appointment next week. I have asked to be seen for gender dysphoria. Do you know of any questions I should ask him or her, like things that I need to do in order to start my transition? Really what you need to do is be really open and honest with your psychologist. Hiding things from them is not going to work. It's not going to help. Any good psychologist will not hold any sort of problems that you're having besides your dysphoria against you in diagnosing you with gender identity disorder or gender dysphoria. I guess gender identity disorder won't be something that anyone's diagnosed with anymore. That's great. So if you feel like if you're having something like depression or anxiety that is related to your dysphoria or not related to your dysphoria, don't hide that from your psychologist. They need to know everything about you, basically, in order to give a full, medical seal of approval in order for you to get this diagnosis, in order for you to go do hormones or surgery or whatever route you want to take. I would certainly ask them, like, what do I do after I have this diagnosis that I'm here to try and achieve, essentially? Not that you want to achieve a diagnosis, but you're there for a reason.
Gold star.
There's something that you are. You're not just, working through, like, you're not really working through something. You know who you are, and you're there to help them see that you know who you are so that they can affirm it for the medical community and you can do what you need to do. So I would ask them what they know about transition and what experience they have with diagnosing gender dysphoria, because sometimes you're their first trans patient and maybe that's not going to work out for you. I've been really lucky. My gender therapist is someone who's been an expert in the field for ages, so she was like, here, and I was like, oh, okay, so much information I didn't even know I needed to know. So do a little research about what you'd like yourself to be doing in your transition, where you want to be going, and bring that information in with you. But the first couple times you see them, you're just going to talk about yourself and your life and when you realized this about yourself and what might have led up to it and things like that. So, take it slow, be really honest with your psychologist, and keep the lines of communication open so that they can help you as best as possible.
Okay, so the next two questions are kind of really, really similar. So we're just going to make a little umbrella question, and then it's a lot of people's questions, so you'll know. So the first question is about sexual prosthetics and being too big or too big, mostly. The second question is about Packers being too big. So we're going to cover both Packers and prosthetics and normal sizes and stuff like that. We have an article about choosing the right Packer in the up to bat, basically, up to be posted. So to do that, I did a lot of research on average cis guys package and genetics and stuff like that. So the average size of a flaccid penis is 3.5 inches. So this is kind of misleading because Mr. Limpy's 3.5 inches is named extra small. We have people buying 8.5-inch Packers. That's a soft penis. And I want you to know that 8.5 inches is about this big.
That's a lot. Tell them how big the average erect
male penis is between 5.5 inches and 6 inches. So you're having more than an erect penis in your pants, and it's soft.
That's just gonna look awkward, actually. It's gonna create
because
a
the
lot
balls
of
are still
awkward
this
situations
big,
in public.
but you've got the penis part that hangs down to like here. So there is a good difference between the 3.5 inches and the 5 inches, is because the balls on the Mr. Limpy are more 3D. And so when the Mr. Limpy is hanging, it kind of sticks out more. So the width of the entire package is like this. Mm-hmm. So it does create a bigger bulge than the 5 inches, because the 5 inches balls are thinner, and it has more room to hang down. So you only have like the width of the penis and the little bit of the balls. There's a Tumblr thing going around actually about how to cut back the balls on the 3.5 inches. That's also something you can look into. There's something else I was going to say. Beep.
You can't put that on Instagram. No, you can. You totally can.
There. Okay.
You can't put that.
Another part that they ask is about maybe a size chart or height ratio. Something that I looked up also is that there is no like that whole myth about big feet equals big penis
Big
kind
socks.
of thing. Big right.
Big shoes
gloves.
means
You
big
know,
socks.
tall equals bigger penis. Wider equals bigger penis. Anything like that. It's not. It has nothing to do with your penis size at all.
It might be easier though if you are on the shorter end that you don't buy the 8-inch, just because
It'll
it's
be
gonna
down
be
to your knees.
very disproportionate at that point. It's also I wouldn't recommend that anyone buy an 8-inch flaccid anything.
Yeah.
Because that's just excessive. I think it's gonna be a lot of trouble just getting it in anywhere. It's just gonna be more hassle than it's worth.
Yes. The Mr. Limpy actually is not specifically designed for FTMs. It's a gag gift kind of thing. So these things are for bachelorette parties and stuff like that, and they fill a table with flaccid penises, and it's funny, or have a straw with a penis on it and that kind of stuff. And so
I think it's hilarious.
yeah, and so 8.5
Really
inch penises
appropriate.
when you're stretching them like this. Even the Mr. Limpy ad is a guy stretching them like this. You can't do that with a normal penis,
No,
a biological penis.
I
It
wouldn't-
probably hurt.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Okay, so back to the first question about sexual prosthetics is that the average size is between 5.5 and 6 inches. Also, what you have to worry about is the girth or the circumference.
Yep. That's mainly the big thing. The person who wrote the question was concerned because their partner doesn't have a lot of sexual experience. So a lot of the sexual prosthetics they've been using have been too big or have hurt them or something like that. So really what you want to focus on is not always just how long it is, but also how wide it is, because that's really what's being stretched essentially.
Yes, and they're
To put it
also
crudely.
they're also talking about their girlfriend. There's a difference between the width involved in vaginal sex and anal sex, because in general vaginals have vaginas have an end to them. You don't just go all the way up into her abdomen. Whereas
you wouldn't want to either. It's just not comfortable for anyone.
The average vaginal cavity length is about the same as a vaginal penis length, and so just like there's a size change when a male becomes erect, there's a size change when a female becomes erect, or the vaginal cavity
Is aroused.
cavity.
When the vaginal cavity is aroused,
Cavity. There's a B in it.
it
for some
can
reason.
stretch to hold more than it normally would.
Right.
Which is helpful, and that is why people are able to have sex.
And that's why foreplay is important.
That kind of sex,
Mhm.
at least. And that is, yes, very much.
To shamelessly plug yet again, we have penises that are 5.5 inches and goes down as far as 4 inches. So
You can start with that and see
yes,
if that works.
not
and
a
then-
very high circumference. We also we go all the way up to I think 7.75 inches with a big girth.
That's a lot.
Um,
Work your way up.
If you're looking, most of our Packers and Prosthetics both have the details about circumference and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is to just take a piece of paper and measure out, I want an 8.5 inch flaccid penis for some reason. So measure out 8.5 inches, cut the paper, measure out, what the circumference is going to be, and roll it into a tube. And then put it up to you and be like, is this
seems a bit
flaccid what I want? Or is it, if
Does this look scary and imposing? Maybe I shouldn't use this on my partner.
very true, very
Unless
true.
they want that.
I don't know. It's
Communication.
actually hard to find
Communication.
small sexual prosthetics because
Absolutely.
everyone thinks bigger is better. Let's do it. Like I want my fist kind of. I want a huge penis, but that's what everyone wants, isn't it? But so yeah, smaller normal size penises should not be called smaller in any or extra small or anything like that. It's average. It's regular a penis.
All right.
Actually, we have a question that goes with this, so I'm going to ask that one from memory, and then we'll just go to the next question here, and we'll just skip it when it comes up.
Okay.
Someone asked me if you can. He likes to pack with his STP, but he doesn't want to change his STP out to have sex with, and he's wondering if he can just put a condom over an STP to have sex with because the tubing makes it a little harder. The box of any STP or Packer will tell you that it's not for sexual activities. The condom over it does make it safer since you're peeing out of it and everything like that. This is basically entirely up to you and your partner and what you feel comfortable doing and if it works. My biggest concern with that would be that there's a tube that comes out of the STP and then some kind of device that you pee through that might hurt you if it's against you when you're having sex. And so if you can figure that out and it's working for you, then we are not telling you to do it or not to do it because it's misuse of the products, but it's up to you.
All right, so our next question is, how do you explain or talk to your significant other, in this case female, that you want to try to use a harder packer for intercourse?
I believe that our advice columnist, Ask Aiden, which is located on, again, our 18+ site. I'm not shamelessly plugging this on purpose. He got a question very similar, and I think one of his answer is that there were 3 beating around the bush kind of ways that you could use. One was, I think he called it the gateway toy, which was to buy a smaller, like a vibrator or some kind of smaller toy, and introduce toys into your sexual relationship first to gauge that kind of thing, and then be maybe a different one, and then work up to here's a penis kind of thing. Another one I believe was the Bluetooth method that he called it, and that was to basically maybe throw in how many other things you could be doing to her with your hands if your fingers weren't busy. That was so rude. That was very rude. If your fingers weren't busy.
You just made a very vulgar
gesture. I made a very vulgar thing, and I apologize. I apologize.
He's the worst.
Yeah, and what was the other one? There was...
wasn't the over-the-shoulder one where?
Where you're basically looking up rodeo harnesses or something like that, and you're just oh, cool! Look at what this they have underwear that are a harness built in, and kind of gauge her reaction or his reaction in other cases about products and toys and prosthetics inside the relationship in bed.
You can also just have a really awkward conversation about it if you want to go that route as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or not awkward conversation.
Did you write that yourself?
No. Okay.
It sounds like something Jason would say.
No, it's not. No.
Start over.
And then started.
Start over. Move on.
Okay.
You're very bossy.
So bossy.
So bossy.
So bossy. Just next question.
Today I sat down while she was at class and I answered 60 emails, and she came from class and was like, "You haven't moved. Have you gone to the post office yet? What have you been doing? You haven't been doing anything."
I've been working.
Blah! And I was like, "Are you kidding me? There's 60 emails." Anyways.
Oops.
So you guys should do a giveaway, like a Packer SCP or packing boxers or something along those lines. It'd be really awesome if you did. Primarily right now, we're doing that for the Tumblr community because we're trying to build up our following on Tumblr. And so I'm pretty sure once a week we've already given away 2. We have another one. It's called a reblog and follow contest where you just reblog the post and make sure you're following us, and it has some information about us, and then randomly we pick a person from the notes and we send them a packer. The size and color is all up to them.
Because that would be rude.
Send
them a random one.
I'm going to send you a
we're
8.5 black penis.
They're not selling as fast as we'd like. So here you go.
Right. There's your question, and then we'll do the urinal.
Go beans. Alright, so this question says, I'm planning on going on T soon and will be meeting with an endocrinologist. Are there any questions you recommend asking the doctor? First off, you're going to get a lot of information from your endo if they are doing their job correctly, because there's a lot of information that you're going to have to take in, and probably a couple of release forms that you're going to have to sign before they can officially hand you your scripts. I don't know if you had to, but I did. I had to sign a lot of stuff. Well, that's true. You went to a center, and I went to a doctor. I had to sign a lot of release forms where my endo detailed every single possible side effect that they are aware of as of yet of taking testosterone at all. I had to sign a form about my reproductive viability, aka whether or not I wanted to harvest my eggs, and whether or not I was okay with signing that possibility away by taking these hormones. So you want to ask, what does this mean? about whether I'm, going to be able to have kids if that's something you're concerned about. When am I going to see the effects? When will menstruation cease? When will I start seeing facial hair or body hair or distribution of fat? When is my voice going to drop? What does this dosage mean? How often should I be, all the sorts of questions that are going to make taking T like a breeze. You're going to want to know all those sorts of things. So if it's really easy, if you want to sit down and think about what you're really interested in knowing, what you think is really important for your health, is it safe to take this with all these other medications I might be taking? Who do I need to tell that I'm taking this hormone, things like that? Write it all on a list, bring it in with you when you see them for the first time. They'll have all the answers that you want.
Okay. Let's go find a bathroom.
You don't want to do an ending first?
I guess.
Before you move?
Sure.
That's all, folks.
Can you do that?
Alexa needs to do that.
No. I'm not doing anything embarrassing. That's Ro's job.
Do it. I'm not doing anything embarrassing. That's Ro's job. Whatever. Excuse me. That's why people think I'm hilarious.
All right. Thanks for watching another probably incredibly long video. We've got a lot of great questions this time. We should do another one in about a month. So roll the questions. It's selfmadeben.tumblr.com/ask. And then you can do it anonymously. We don't put anyone's name on there anyway, so it doesn't matter. Just send us your questions. We also have the Ally Advantage. So any questions that you have for partners or allies or anything like that, that's another option that we have. Have a good night or day, or depending on when you're watching this. And we'll see you later. Thank you for watching the Self-Made Men on YouTube. That's all, folks.
You're welcome.
He did it.
So we did a little change of scenery quick, because we got a question about using a urinal. The question is, hey, if you could explain how to use a urinal, like I just said, that would be great. I never learned how to use one, and I don't want to ask my dad or a cis guy friend. So basically a tutorial on how to unbutton your pants, to how to flush your urinal, etc. Thank you. So first of all, for those of you who have never been in one, this is what a men's bathroom looks like.
Not all that different from a women's bathroom, except it's got these weird.
It's true. It's got these guys.
They have stalls too, so that's
yes.
helpful.
2 stalls in this bathroom.
Yes.
So typically, when you enter a men's bathroom, much unlike female bathrooms, you pretty much just walk in, pick your spot, and then just do what you need to. I know I sit to pee, which is embarrassing because I always think guys think I'm pooping.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Every time.
Because if you're in a stall and you're sitting, you're pooping.
Because why?
Guys poop.
Whatever.
So
at least you have healthy bowel movements if they think that.
Exactly.
Fine.
So if you're worried about using a urinal, we're going to do a kind of tutorial. What you would do is let's see, there's kind of some kind of like etiquette where if there are 3 and someone is over here, you skip one and go over here. After this, I will post the urinal game because there's a game to like pick where you should go, kind of thing. Basically, what makes you feel comfortable. If you're not comfortable standing next to somebody peeing, try peeing in the stall first. But here's the tutorial of a urinal. Okay, so I picked a urinal, and you walk up to it. Fortunately, this one has a cool divider, so you don't even have to worry about people like looking over and everything. We have got there's usually like a little cake thing, like a little sponge thing.
Keeps it fresh.
Keeps it fresh. When you're peeing, typically you want to pee against this back wall right here because it'll just down, or you can pee into the hole. So you walk up, you kind of just unbutton your pants like this. If you're taking out an STP, you kind of want to jump around. That's a normal thing that guys do. So you're pulling away your boxers away, and you're pulling out your STP. And then you kind of want to like stand so that you don't want anyone to look at you. It's basically just like this. And
defensive peeing.
Defensive peeing. So you're peeing, and then this one is automatic. So look, it's flushing. It basically just runs water down the back of it so that it cleans off all the pee, and then it goes into a little hole.
Yep. But on non-automatic ones, there will be a handle, much like a regular toilet, and
Right.
you just
It'll just be
just toggle it.
and then the water will rush down and go through there. You zip up your pants, unbutton it in the bathroom. Because I was at Applebee's the other day, and this guy walked out of the bathroom still buttoning his pants and zipping it up in the dining hall. Don't be that guy. All right, so this is Urinal. The other one's shorter, so it's for, you know, kids or shorter guys, or it really doesn't matter as long as you aim.
Yep.
It's the same thing for toilets, but I'm sure you've used a toilet before, so I won't go through that whole thing. So, one little quick thing, you know, if, again, if you've got 2 urinals and someone's standing next to it and you don't feel safe using an SCP next to somebody else in a urinal, use a stall.
Going in like
Use a stall. Use a urinal. That is our tutorial for urinals and men's bathrooms.
Really? We're never going to get through this question.